May this video be a spark of light and guidance on your path. Together, we can create a chain of love that permeates all dimensions of existence.
That after much struggle within himself, when I said no to being a doctor, he said, okay, at least take up engineering. Then I said, see, you don't know what you're talking about. If I said I don't want to be a doctor, if you told me be a veterinary doctor, be an Ayurvedic doctor, be a witch doctor, something, I would consider. But when I say no doctor, you say engineer. Yours is a social problem, you know, it's not an existential issue. So, what will you do? You're not trained for anything. I said, if I'm not trained for anything, I can do whatever I want. Why I'm saying this is not with any disregard for him. He was such a dedicated doctor, people literally worshipped him wherever he went. Well, I looked at his profession with great respect, but not with regard. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I respected it immensely because it made a huge difference for people I saw many times with my own eyes. My mother would always complain, it doesn't matter, because we were always in those kind of stations where in the middle of the night, any time calls will come and he will just go away. Any number of times, he will be having his dinner, phone rings, he will just get up halfway and go away. My mother would beg him, just 3 minutes, just finish this and go. But he would say no, and he would just go away. And sometime he will come at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning. When I looked at this, that was the most impressive thing for me about him, that this man is committed, you know, about whatever he's doing, I don't care what he's doing, but he's committed to what he's doing, which made me very proud of him for that kind of commitment. But at the same time, he was talking to me in terms of having… how to make a living. Become a doctor, you will make a living. I said, I don't want to make a living like that. Then they said, become an engineer, make a living. I said, I don't want to make a living like that. Then they said, at least go to business, make a living. I said, no. I said, making a living is never a concern for me, because I traveled across the country on my motorcycle when I was very young, and I lived in the jungles by myself for weeks on end, survived in the forest without any outside support. I said, I can live anywhere. I'm not asking for anything specific. I don't know what I was looking for at that time. All I knew is, I will not sit behind a table and earn a living. That much was 100% clear to me. What will I do? I didn't know. I just knew one thing, I'm here to live. Everything else here is here to live, isn't it? Why only human beings think they're here for some other purpose? Hello? All other creatures know they're here to live. It is just that for them, living means eating, sleeping, reproducing and dying, their life is complete. Once you come as a human being, you can eat as much as you want, sleep as much as you want, you can reproduce as much as you want, somehow life is not complete. This is longing for something else. If that something else doesn't happen, this feels so incomplete. So right now, the weekend people, those who live on the weekend I mean, they're alive only because there's not enough spirit in them, they put outside spirits. I'm so loaded with spirit, I didn't need any outside infusion. Anybody who comes, do you put blood infusion into them? Only when they have lost. When they've lost blood, you do blood infusion, isn't it? So only when you have lost your spirit, you do spirit infusion. I'm fully drunk all the time. So it never occurred to me that I have to infuse something from outside. So, it doesn't matter. They need a break for some purpose, that is perfectly fine. But it's very important that you don't make this distinction, what is work and what is life. If what you're doing is not your life, please don't do it. What you're doing is life, isn't it? You're fixing somebody's bone, it must be your life. It is your life, isn't it? You spend more time with broken bones than with your family, yes or no? So, which is life? Why this is not life and that is life? This is also life, this is one dimension of life, that's another dimension of life. How to distribute time? The requirement may be different from different people. For an individual person, he may need that much break, another person needs less break. Well, every weekend if you are at home, maybe your family enjoys it. In another family, every weekend if you're home, maybe they don't want you there. We don't know what's the situation, I'm saying it varies from person to person, from situation to situation. So, it's very important that we understand that from the moment we are born till we fall dead, we're doing only life, life and life alone, nothing else but life.
So one last question before… you'll be knowing that there's a lot of doctor bashing in the media. So there is…
Oh, you also… I thought there's a lot of guru bashing happening.
No, it's against the whole community.
You're just telling the wrong guy.
So, I mean, it's natural for the doctors in training to feel that they are spending huge hours, long hours, they are working hard. Maybe a perception, but definitely most of the doctors in training work harder. They give much more than this, but they are not earning the respect any more than what kept the doctors of the previous generation going. In this demanding… I mean, there is a discrepancy of expectation, an expectation gap, both from the doctors to the society and society to the doctor. How do you keep the passion going in this trying circumstance?
See, there are many aspects to this. Let's first of all look at the times in which we exist. In this culture, we always insisted education, health and spiritual process should never be commercialized. This has always been the norm. But we said this when these things used to be sponsored by a king or somebody. He sponsored the education, he sponsored the hospitals, he sponsored spiritual process. So, no charge for the people because it was sponsored by somebody. Those sponsors have disappeared in democratic societies. So everybody has to handle their own economics. And whether it comes from your pocket or my pocket, somebody is spending for every activity that happens in the world. So that goes for medicine too, particularly because of technology and of course, there are many gray areas. Technology costs. Diagnostics is costing more than the treatment today. But because of this, many things are being caught in time. Otherwise, most people will die without a diagnosis. People are always thinking there is more cancer today, definitely there may be, most probably. But I think it's also a question of diagnostics. It's also a question of people living longer. When people died early, of course they died healthy. Now when people are moving into 80s and 90s, of course they're having various issues. So, one aspect that's happened is medicine or health has become an expensive process. Modern medicine is a culprit in this, big time, because we have taken a complete turn towards it. We should have gone towards it selectively, where it is necessary, yes. Selectively means there is one norm we could have employed. I'm not saying this is a perfect norm, but we could have. There is, as you know, there are infectious diseases and chronic ailments. How we see this in the yogic way of seeing it is, infections are an invasion from outside. You have to wage a war against them, for that you need a doctor and medicine. Chronic ailments are something that we manufacture from within. For this, you need awareness, you need yoga, you need observation of what's happening in your system, of your lifestyle, how you sit, how you stand, how you breathe, everything you need to observe. If this distinction was made and we enforced it in every society, then medicine would not have been so expensive. In many ways, with vaccinations and various other things that we have done, largely infectious diseases are very small, isn't it? Today, most of the ailments are chronic, isn't it so? Self-made in a way. Chronic means it's coming from within us. When every cell in this body is geared and, programmed for health, why is it ill health happening? Obviously, we are doing something fundamentally wrong with life. In the yogic system, we are looking at it like this: if you keep this body in total ease, almost every chronic ailment that you have, it will handle by itself if you give that much space to it. Otherwise, if it is not in ease, how is it? It is in dis-ease, so it's a disease. But now, we are treating everything… We think… When I said this about psychological ailments, because you talked about media, the Bangalore media has been after me for last 1.5 years because I just said this: you are fundamentally responsible for your psychological well-being. Just this one sentence. They've been campaigning against me for last 1.5 years, so recently when I went, again it came up in some kind of a conversation. So I said, see, you were saying something more dramatic, but for example, millions of people have died of cardiac problems. Millions and millions have gone through cardiac surgeries. But today, doctors are busy telling everybody, if you don't eat red meat, if you exercise every day, if you do this and this, most probably you will not come to my surgery table. And it is so. Millions have not gone there simply because they're maintaining a responsible way of living in some way. So, their argument is that psychological ailments are medical problems, you cannot solve it by your responsibility. I'm saying if you behave irresponsibly, every one of you can go crazy right now. Yes or no? Every one of you can get sick within the next few days if you behave irresponsibly, yes or no? Is it possible or no? So, this should have happened. When modern medicine developed, we got little too overexcited about it. And we thought a doctor is a solution for everything. No, health is your fundamental responsibility. When it crosses a line, you seek some professional help. But daily health must be your business. Keeping yourself healthy must be 100% your business. Suppose you contract something else happened, either because of genetic reasons or congenital reasons or infections, something came, then the doctor should step in. But right now, doctor is there in your life from your childhood till you die. You will not be healthy, you will just be a patient. This is not a good way to go. So I think this distinction has to come. It is beginning to happen slowly. Doctors are looking at more holistic way of treating, but it's still a small movement. I think it should become a much larger movement. Then when that happens, then the expense of being healthy goes down. I think this animosity towards doctors will also go down. But you're just telling the wrong guy, because guru bashing is way bigger than doctor bashing. Endlessly. Just anything and everything that a man can do and cannot do, people accuse me of. So right now, we are… because I thought some idiot say something, what's the big deal? But it's picked up certain momentum. So, just today morning I was looking at it and we're putting this on our website. All the accusations that are going on for 27 years by, very motivated vested groups which are going on, obviously they're well funded. So we're putting all those things on our own website, all the accusations and all the realities of what it is, endless things. I must tell you, this will be interesting for medical people. I have stolen over 7 million kidneys till now. You better have yourself checked up, one kidney may be missing right now. Like this, we've destroyed a whole rainforest, nobody knows where that rainforest is. We have killed over… people said, you have killed over 100 elephants. Then I said, see, it's a fact that I don't have a firearm, so I killed them with my bare hands. See, look at me, 100 elephants with my bare hands. You know, in Tamil Nadu, in ancient Tamil culture, a real man means Ayirane konnavane. This means one who has slain 1,000 elephants, he is a real man. I said, I'm getting there. So like this it goes on endlessly. So we are putting this out as slander without substance. Endlessly slander goes on. I don't think they would dare to go against you so much because they may have to come to you. With me, they go take much more liberties.
So, Guru, would you have time for one or two questions?
I'm okay, please.
Anybody want to ask? Yes, Guru.
Where are those young party people? They must ask a question.
Sadhguru, you got a beautiful humor-laced talks. And I feel that humor is a very important element. Do you think that humor has to be there in medical profession as well? Or you have to be serious all the time?
Well, for the patients who come to you with something broken, it's not funny. But you have to be there every day. So, you should not see anything funny about the patient, but you must see something funny about yourself. It'll be nice for you and the patient and for everybody. But if you see something funny in the broken bone, you know, there's a funny bone, even if that is broken, you can't say it's funny. But it's nice if the doctor is little more jovial. Right now, he's looking like an undertaker most of the time. Can I tell you a joke about orthopedics? Is it okay? This happened. This was an amputation case. So the doctor did the job, and then after a few hours the patient regained consciousness. Those who conducted the surgery, they were all standing there, looking at the patient with some concern. When he opened his eyes and blinked, they said, we have some good news and some bad news. Which do you want first? He said, really? What is the bad news? Because I already lost a leg, what can be the bad news? More bad news. He said, see, this was a new nurse. We have a blue tag that needs to be put on the leg. I clearly told her it's the right leg, but she came, she always can't figure out what is right and left, so she looked at her wedding ring, this is left, this is right, and she put it on this, so wrong leg, and we amputated the wrong leg. He said, oh my God, you amputated my wrong leg, then what the hell is the good news? He said, the good news is, the gangrene leg is recovering pretty good.
Hello, yes. We were talking about life and death. I would like you to go back to the days when our sages, they will still be present in the body, but will move out into the cosmos and maybe after some travel come back. So, in evolution, have we moved forward or we moved backwards?
You only said it's already a round trip, so…
So it might have been a spiritual trip.
Doesn't matter, it's a round trip, you came to the same point.
Yes.
Please, please. So, if these things have gone around quite a bit, somebody is doing astral travel, this is called… this culture is called Gudu, Gudu Vittu Gudu Pai. That means leave this body, go somewhere else and come back. Is such a thing possible, or is it an evolutionary forward step? There is nothing evolutionary or even spiritual about it. It's more of occult nature. This is more practiced in African tribes, particularly the North American tribes, of leaving human body and taking on some other form. This is very prevalent. Even in India, in the occult practices, in certain tantric practices, these things are there. Generally for lack of vocabulary, in hardcore spiritual process, these things are shunned. These things are seen as circus that you do, that you don't try to display such things. But the very nature of life that you are right now is, the life energies are not only projecting inward, they're also projecting outward. Now, if you want to do certain thing, if, for example, you're a doctor doing constant surgeries, if you know how to make the proportion of this projection, largely I would say, right now, looking at this crowd, I would say, in this crowd, on an average, the outward projection is just about 10%, 90% it's inward projected, life energies. Because people are in a self-preservation mode. You will see when people fall in love, that is, they fell in love so badly that they're willing to die for it. You know, these days it's not like that. A young lady asked her lover recently, "Are you willing to die for me as Romeo died for Juliet?" The man said, "My love is of an undying sort." So, if you do something where your involvement is such that your involvement becomes bigger than your survival process, then the life energies naturally project outward. If you're not able to project your life energies outward, you will not do anything in the world which is significant in other people's experience. If you sit here, you can have 10% turned inward, 90% out. If you do this, you will see whatever the hell you do, people go phenomenally impressed. If you are 90% in, 10% out, whatever you may do great things, but still nobody will be impressed. So when you're doing your surgery, even if you can be 50% outwardly projected, it would make a big difference in the way you're doing the same thing. You may be trained, you may anyway do it right, but it'll make a huge difference. This is why always, like this business events that happen in the ashram, they're always asking me this, how Sadhguru? See, because in this, this is 37th year, in these 37 years, at any time in the world, at least anywhere between 250 to 300 inner engineering programs are going on any given day. In these 37 years, not a single program has been abandoned, not a single appointment I have been late to. I've never been late to a single event in these 37 years. And not just me, the whole organization functioning like this. People ask, how? The important thing is, you have to keep your instinct of self-preservation out. There is an instinct of self-preservation, there is a longing to expand. If you hold on to instincts of self-preservation, you build walls around yourself. And these walls of self-preservation are also the walls of self-imprisonment. But if your longing to expand becomes the prime factor of your life, you will see your life energies are more outward projected. particularly when you're treating your patients, if your life energies are outward projected, you will find phenomenal results with everything that you do. Whatever skills you have, they will multiply. If it's inward projected, it's a drag. No wonder you will be looking forward to the weekend.
Sadhguru, I think is the last question. Sadhguru, are we all manufactured differently? No, can we be Einstein or… I mean, there is a difference between how we are born and what we are capable of. Is it possible that we can… have we be born as iPhone model 1 or iPhone model 2 or iPhone 10?
Well, Albert Einstein that you mentioned, towards the end of his life, when he was asked if he's given a second chance, what would he like to be? He said, I would rather be a plumber than be a physicist. Really? So, can I be an Einstein? Maybe not. Because, as I said earlier, when it comes to body and when it comes to mind, we are all different. No two human beings are equal. When it comes to external activity, no two human beings are equal. What I can do, you cannot do, what you can do, I cannot do, this is the way the world is and it's wonderful that way. But when it comes to inner possibilities, all of us are equally competent. Now he was talking about being blissful. Can everybody here be equally blissful or absolutely blissful? Yes, 100%. Can everybody here become a great surgeon or a great athlete or great something else in activity? No, it'll never happen, because that's different. So when it comes to physical competence and intellectual competence, we are all different. When it comes to inner dimensions, there is simply no difference. So I'm saying, what is at hand, exploit it first. First become blissful, then we see what the hell you can do. Even if you don't do anything, if you're just blissful, people will need you just for that, isn't it so? Hello? This is a simple thing. Those of you who have good reasons to be miserable, either because of media or these damn bones don't come together or whatever happens, people who find good reasons to be miserable. I'm asking you, if you were given a choice, would you like to live and work with joyful people or miserable people? I want you to please remember, everybody else is expecting the same thing. Thank you very much. So what is Kundalini? Right now, I am speaking. This is Kundalini. You are alert and listening. If you are alert and listening, that is Kundalini. A flower is blossoming, that is Kundalini. A dog is barking, that is also Kundalini. Or in other words, the fundamental life force in the existence, we call it Kundalini. Now, within the system, within the human system, if you look at this as a kind of a life package, it's a piece of life. This piece of life is packed in a certain way with layers of this energy. One dimension of energy comes alive immediately because that is necessary for your survival process. The other dimensions of energy will not come alive unless you do something about it. Unless you're aware of it and activate it in a certain way, they do not come into existence. They remain dormant. The dormant energy is way bigger than the energy that is in use right now. To take care of your survival process, to live a physical life completely, to live a complete physical and intellectual life, you need to activate only about 21 of your chakras. Out of this 114, if about 21 of them are on, you will live a complete life. You will not feel any inadequacy. you will live a complete physical life. There'll be no problem with your life. You will think you're a great success, but you're only 21. That is less than 21% out of 114. Less than 20%. At less than 20%, you will feel like a complete life without any inadequacies. The remaining percentage of life, what is it about? It is not even needed if your intention is just to live well. If you activate this dimension of energy, other dimensions of life will open up. One thing is, are you ready for those dimensions? The question is not about whether it's good or bad. The question is just about, are you ready for it? Because even if the best things in life come to your life, when you're not ready for it, it will not be a good thing for you. In your experience, it will not be a good thing if something came to you when you're not ready for it, isn't it so? Even if it's the greatest thing, it may be the greatest thing, but it came to you when you are not ready for it, then it is not a good thing, isn't it? So are you ready for it is the first question. If you're ready for it, what can we do for it? What can we do to activate? There are various ways of doing this, many ways, but the Kundalini Yoga, are people familiar with Kundalini Yoga, practicing or… okay. Kundalini Yoga, I'm not making a comment about anybody, okay? Kundalini Yoga in its essence is the most dangerous form of yoga. I'm saying dangerous because it's the most potent also. What is most potent is always the most dangerous, if improperly handled. There are various kinds of energy in the world right now. Even the electricity is being produced in so many different ways. One of the ways that we do it is through nuclear reactions, nuclear reactors rather. It is the most efficient way of producing energy that we know right now, but it is also the most dangerous way, isn't it? When things go wrong, they go seriously wrong. When they're going right, it is the easiest and the best way to produce energy on the planet is nuclear energy actually. But when it goes bad really bad, like in ways that you can't fix it. So similarly with Kundalini Yoga, it is the most potent and it is the most dangerous. Without the necessary preparation and guidance, without expert guidance, constant guidance and observation, nobody should ever attempt it. But the problem is, books have been written about it and everybody wants to do the highest yoga. Nobody wants to start with A, everybody wants to start the alphabet with Z. This attitude itself is dangerous. What can be a life-transforming force can become a life-destructive force simply because without the necessary commitment and dedication and focus and understanding, it is being handled. Anyway, about rising the Kundalini. If the Kundalini rises, the dimensions of your life will change so rapidly that you must be willing to make the outside adjustments equally quick. Otherwise, things will fall apart in a big way. In the classical yogic traditions, there is a certain type of yoga we teach for people who live in family situations. There is a certain other type of yoga we teach for ascetics. In Isha we have both the forms. We have ascetic yoga and we have the general yoga. We will never teach you the ascetic form, that is the most potent way to do it. But it will demand a certain dimension of discipline and focus which your regular lives will not allow. If you do that kind of yoga, it will dismantle your outside life instantly. Now this yoga is not designed to dismantle your life, this yoga is designed to make your life happen better. When life happens better, when things happen better, you make more money, your business is going better, your profession is happening better, you are generally, unfortunately, your longing to seek the higher becomes slower. Yes? So in the real sense, it is not the good way to do it, but it's the only way it works in today's world. And it's the only way it works for majority of the people. For a small number of people, we can do it other ways. We can bypass all these things and just do very powerful ways of doing things, but it will dismantle all social structures around them, which is not good for everybody to do. So these are different dimensions. Kundalini Yoga, if it has to be practiced, you must be in a certain kind of atmosphere. You cannot live in social situations and do Kundalini Yoga. Otherwise, in the name of Kundalini Yoga, you're doing something simplistic. Otherwise, Kundalini Yoga can transform the way you are within days. Suddenly you find you are a stranger in your own home within 2 days of practice, because it will change everything about you. So can we raise the Kundalini? Yes, we can. One way is to create a conducive atmosphere so that slowly it rises. The other way is to provoke it in such a way that it raises quickly. If it rises quickly, then everything changes dramatically. If it rises slowly over a period of time, changes will happen slowly, you will be capable of handling these changes over a period of time. But if it happens very quick, then you will not be able to handle the changes. Things will look like things are falling apart. So there are different ways of doing this. How many ways? There are too many ways. I will not go into how many ways. There are so many ways of doing it. Essentially, there are 112 ways of doing it. There are 112 ways in which you can take this up. From the base to… for this you have to know the structure, otherwise it'll become very elaborate. Out of these 114 chakras, there are 7 which we recognize as 7 dimensions. Out of this, 6 are within the body, 1 just outside the physical body. So if you employ these 112 methods, you will handle the 6th chakras. The 7th one you cannot handle. There are 112 ways in which you can attain to a chakra which we refer to as Agna. But from Agna to Sahasrara, there is no way. There is no way to do it. You just have to jump into an abyss. If you have to jump into an abyss, you should be insane, or you should have enormous trust in somebody. Somebody says jump, and you are jumping because you have such a deep trust in somebody that when he says jump, it has to be good for you. You simply jump into a bottomless pit. So, the journey from the Mooladhara to Agna, there are 112 ways to get there. But from there to there is no way. It is just one jump that can happen in trust, in devotion or in madness. Choice is yours.
So what about this obsession with Ram and this frenzy over the Ram temple, which of course now is going to be inaugurated? Where do you find this? Isn't it then misplaced?
I don't know, I wouldn't use those words, they're very strong words, obsession, frenzy, all this. Because if somebody has to be an inspiration after 7,000–8,000 years, there must be some element there. Not for 1 or 2 people. For millions and millions of people, if someone has to be an inspiration after thousands of years, there must be something. If we don't see that something, then we will say it's an obsession, it is this, that. But let me come to this. And anyway, coming to that Ram temple, so Ram had a series of problems during his life. Even after thousands of years, he still has real estate issues. His real estate is not settled after thousands of years. So people who love him want to settle that real estate. I think it's settled, Supreme Court has settled it. So they want to build a temple. It is devotion. Why should it be termed as frenzy and obsession?
Is it, let me use another word which again you will say is strong, isn't it divisive?
Why is it divisive?
Because it cuts across 2 communities.
Really?
It's been a bloody tale. And by bloody, I mean a tale of blood, a tale of killings, a tale of riots.
What's happened in the last 800 years is the bloodiest tale that's ever happened in any part of the world ever. What happened to the Jews with Adolf Hitler? What happened to Native Americans with North America? What happened in Cambodia? All these things are nothing compared to what happened in India in these 800 years. And if you don't think that is bloody, and there is no any kind of remorse in people who committed those things, then just people want a small piece of real estate back for their asta, and that is divisive. Why is it divisive?
I mark that you're using the word real estate and not temple. Is that deliberate?
It is real estate. But temple is built by devotees' hearts. The land is just real estate. But it's sacred for them because it is identified as a birthplace, and obviously there's no question mark whether there was a temple or not. It is not one temple. Thousands of temples were raised because that's the policy, that it must be raised, and it will be raised in future also. If we don't protect it, it will be raised in future also. Even now in Pakistan, Bangladesh is happening. Why should it be divisive? Why can't everybody settle down to whatever nonsense they believe in and do their stuff? I can live without any belief system, but maybe people need some belief systems, so they have their beliefs. But how come I think my belief is right and yours is wrong, and you must die just for believing whatever I don't believe? If you don't address that and you say all these words, it's just… what is this? Where does this come from?
You spoke about the past, you spoke about past wars. Do two wrongs make a right?
See, there are no two wrongs. It's just a request. These three icons, Shiva, Rama, Krishna, thousands have been… temples have been demolished. Nobody's asking because it's impossible to refix the history, and nobody thinks it can be… we can refix the history, nor is anybody interested. These three icons, where their, the basic presence was, these three iconic places they're asking for. Why can't it be just offered without a fight? Where is a fight? And nobody is fighting, they're only going to the court. Court is not a fight, it's a legal process. Why are you calling legal process a fight?
You have never prayed in your life or gone to a temple, or have you gone, and when did you stop going? And have you read the scriptures?
I've definitely not read the scriptures. I'm not a temple-going person. I've built temples, but I don't go there. If I go to a temple, if there is… see, our temples are not places of prayer. This is something that people have completely missed. Probably in the north, it's completely gone. In southern India, still the instructions are there. Here the instructions are, in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, if you go to your temple, nobody told you you must pray, you must appeal to the god and this and that. If you go there, you must sit quietly in one place, because these are different types of energies. Consecrations are of different types. Each deity is consecrated in a certain way to open certain dimensions of your life. So you are supposed to sit there and imbibe that. Even in north, they only told you to have darshan, not have appeal, isn't it? Darshan means, because it's an energetic form, you take that impression into your mind and your heart. This will transform you. Because it's an energetic form, the physical form is just like a scaffolding. It is there, it is necessary for the visual apparatus, but it's the energetic form, you're supposed to imbibe it. Because in this civilization that you refer to as Hindu right now, which unfortunately has been so badly distorted, or let's say probably more appropriate word would be Sanatan, but that also has become a bad word today. Sanatan means eternal. So in this culture, nothing can be eternal unless it's all-inclusive. In this culture, there is no such thing as prayer. In this culture, there is darshan. In this culture, the aspiration is not to go to heaven and sit with God. In this culture, the aspiration is to become divine. The aspiration is to become divine, because what we consider as divine is something that's risen above what we normally think is human action-reaction kind of life. See, for example, many people, even in newspapers it's being written, Tendulkar is cricketing god. Because in people's mind, at least during his time, it's still so, whatever we thought was humanly possible, he rose beyond that, just hitting a damn ball, that's all.
People say Sadhguru is God. Your followers say Sadhguru is God.
No, nobody says that. They put me to work every day. So, when they say he is God, they're not saying he lives in heaven or some nonsense. They are saying he's risen above what we think is human ceiling. He's risen above that. This is how we worshipped Rama, Krishna, everybody. They rose beyond their limitations, no matter what life throws at them. Even in a battlefield, they're cool. Even in a battlefield, he's joking. So we bow down to him when everybody's terrified of life and death. Somebody is above that, means we'll bow down to him. Even now, suppose in Indian army, there is one major or one colonel or somebody, even in bullets are flying, he's just cool. Everybody will worship him because he's risen in some way. So in this culture, we are not wanting to go to God, we want to become that. But our idea is not the God. We see everything as God. We'll bow down to a tree, we'll bow down to a cow, we'll bow down to a snake, we'll bow down to a rock, man, woman, child, anything. Because no piece of life is happening without the source of creation throbbing in it. If you recognize it, you bow down. If you don't, you don't.
This I do not know anything has grown to such a size, it's like, my mind is billions of questions, simply. I have a question mark about everything in the universe and not a single answer. So then, after 35-40 minutes, he got so frustrated. He came and held me by the shoulders, shook me violently like this, and he said, "You must either be the divine or the devil. I think you're the latter." I did not feel abused by this or insulted by this. Till then my problem was, what is this, what is that, what is that, what is that, what is that? One thing was clear to me, this is me. Suddenly this guy confused me about this also. Suddenly I look like this, what am I? Am I divine, am I devil, what the hell am I? He just confused me for the first time, I thought this was clear. So I tried to stare at myself, it didn't work, so I closed my eyes. Initially minutes to hours it went on. One day I closed my eyes and sat. I thought I sat there for 25-30 minutes. When I opened my eyes, there's a huge crowd around me. India being what it is, there are garlands around me, around my neck, people are pulling my legs. They want to know, well, somebody wants to know about his business, somebody wants to know when his daughters will get married. I said, what the hell, where did you all come from? They said, you've been sitting here for 13 days. In my experience, it was only 25-30 minutes. When I tried to open my legs, my knees were stuck. It took almost an hour and a half, putting hot water, massage, everything to get my legs straightened out. Otherwise even I wouldn't have believed it, but 13 days had passed. In my experience, it just felt like 25-30 minutes. And suddenly, what is inside, what is outside, everything got mixed up. Clearly till then, I was very clear, this is me, that's you, all right? I had no issue with that one, but this is me and that is you. Suddenly, this idea of what is me and what is not me got all mixed up because what is me was just everywhere. Now, this looks like a hallucination and that's what I thought. I thought I'm just losing, going off my rocker. I'm just losing my mind. But every cell in my body is bursting with ecstasy. One thing I know is I don't want to lose it. It may be madness, but I don't want to lose it. So right now, my whole effort with life is to just rub off that madness on you. You should also know the ecstasy of being alive. Right now, you know the torture of your intellect. You must know the ecstasy of being alive. You are a piece of life. Rest is all arrangements. Yes or no? Why did you make these arrangements? To enhance your life. No. You made these arrangements mainly to enhance this life. You thought with education your life would enhance itself. With money it would enhance itself. With marriage it would enhance itself. With children it would enhance itself. Now you started the question, this, I wanted to come and meditate but my family, my children, as if it's a problem. These are accessories that you added to enhance your life, not to put your life down. Yes? Every arrangement that you made is about enhancing this life, isn't it? If this life could be enhanced from outside, you would have done it. But this is a realization for you that life cannot be enhanced from outside. Arrangements will bring convenience and comfort. It'll take care of things for us, around us, but it cannot enhance. If you want to enhance this life, you have to turn inward. If you really care for people who are with you, your family, your children, the foremost thing that you need to do is, you have to enhance this. Because what is the damn best thing that you can do to people around you? That you are a wonderful human being. There's nothing better you can do to them. If you had a choice, either to live or work with joyful and blissful human beings, or work and live with miserable human beings, what is your choice? Blissful. I want you to please remember, everybody else is looking forward to the same thing. You think other people want miserable people? No, please just give them that much, that you're a joyful human being. Thank you very much. I would like to once again acknowledge the Dharma Foundation for the commendable cause that they have taken up. This will be an important step for preserving and nurturing the future generations in a certain way. The significance of this is not to spread another new religion. The significance of this to create a religious world, but still deeply spiritual world. This is very important. This is very important. The divide of religions, you see what it is causing. In the past it has done terrible things, still samples of that happening in many parts of the world, what the religious divide can do. Don't think you will be or I will be or our children will be immune to this. Anywhere it can flare up, believe me, anywhere. So this effort is commendable, and in whichever way we can support this, Isha Foundation and myself, we will put our force behind this. Thank you very much for being here.
See, about breaking hearts, I don't have a broken heart because I gave away my heart very early on in my life, so nobody can break it, I gave it away. You should do that, then nobody can break it. See, we must understand this. What is a love affair? Is it okay? Mechanics of love affair, we can look at it. I'm not trying to de-romanticize everything. It's just this. Let's say you were 10 years of age. You looked around, the world was quite normal. Hello? Was it normal when you were 10, 12? It was normal. I'm not picking on you because you're in the first row, okay? So it was looking quite normal. Suddenly, after some time, you got little poisoned, chemically poisoned. Then you looked, every little bump on somebody's body looks like a world by itself. Hello? Till then everything was okay, isn't it? You're 10, 12, it's okay. You became 13 and you look like this. Suddenly this is a world by itself. The neighborhood squawny girl who didn't mean a damn thing to you, suddenly she's the focus, she's the apple of your eye. Yes? So this is because your intelligence has been hijacked by your hormones. So it is making funny things happen. It is making you believe all kinds of things. When you look back and say you'll feel stupid, but it's okay. There's nothing wrong about it. But it's very important that we understand what's happening to us. Otherwise, we'll do idiotic things that we may regret later, you know. It is not a question of morality. It is a question of handling our life sensibly. This serial heartbreak business can leave you paranoid about anything, about bonding with anybody in your life. Yes or no? You had serial heartbreaks, it looked like fun for some time. After some time, you just don't actually trust anybody in your life because another human being is a problem always. Only when our emotions allow you to cross that problem, in some way they get included. But if we have serial heartbreaks, we will never allow our emotion to cross those barriers. We will always be cautious because anyway this is come with a… expiry date. Huh? When people come with an expiry date, yes, there is an expiry date for all of us, but relationships, the idea of building relationships is that it's of support on all levels of life, so that two people, that means two brains and two bodies can do better than one in many ways, in various aspects of life, in profession, in domestic situation, in life, in companionship, in emotion, in arranging and organizing our lives, in every way. Two people can do better than one person, that is the idea. And of course, nature is pushing us together because nature doesn't care about your love affair, it just wants you to reproduce. Yes? You think Mother Nature is worried whether you love or you don't love, it wants you to reproduce. But we've overdone that a little bit. There's no hurry, we don't have to yield to that. Hello? Yes. If you were a tiger, I would encourage you, please reproduce, because it's an endangered species. Human beings definitely not endangered, we are endangering everything. So, reproduction is not the purpose right now, we have kept it aside. But nature's push is towards that. But we have emotional needs, physical needs, psychological needs, maybe financial and social needs, variety of needs. To conduct these needs in a dignified way, to conduct these needs in a… See, once you come as a human being, you can't do things, though they're the same things what the animals do, but we would like to do it more gracefully, consciously. Whether we eat or we copulate or we sleep, we like to do it little more aesthetically right. That's an important thing. For that, we need the cooperation of another person who is also somehow congruent to us. Every 2 days if you have heartbreaks and going on, well, you will see the trouble of that. That's a time where she needs to be cared for, protected, taken care of. But over a period of time, somebody makes this a discriminatory process. We are born from that, if that is impure, our very birth is impure and the creation is impure. Now you made a very sweeping statement, a prejudice from the spiritual dimension. I want you to understand, spiritually, there is no mention of menstrual cycles anywhere because spiritually you cannot have menstrual cycles. Only physiologically you can have, okay? So it's a physiological issue which reflects as a psychological factor in a certain segment of women, I wouldn't say everyone, but quite a substantial segment of women find a reflection of their physiological process in their psychological makeup, which is a fact that has to be taken care of. If this is being said only because some temples and other things have said women cannot enter at that time, you need to understand this, from where this comes from. Today's woman, you forget about her, okay? How she's equipped, how she's capable of handling her bodily needs and other things are a different matter. I want you to look back 1,000 years ago. What kind of sanitary facilities did she have? What kind of processes did she have? So, there could be issues about that, isn't it? It's only for that reason, they said, and above all, you need to understand the level of physical activity for a normal woman in those days. Cooking for 15, 20 people, taking care of the cows, taking care of the children, everything is hers.
It's a tremendous amount of physical activity. So, the woman who is going through a certain process of her cycle, she gets 3 days, 4 days break from everything. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Because that's a time where it is almost like a molting period for a woman on one level. It's not as big as molting, but it's almost like that. That's a time where she needs to be cared for, protected, taken care of. Somebody else cooks for you, which never happens in her life. Every day she cooks. For those 4 days, somebody else cooks for her, somebody else serves her food. She sits alone by herself, she meditates, she sings, she does prayer. Isn't this a good way of doing things, I'm asking? Do not consider this as today's life. Look back 1,000 years ago when these things were made. It was a very good way of protecting our women. But over a period of time, somebody makes this a discriminatory process. A woman should not come here, should not come there. That is just out of ignorance, certain things happen. It has nothing to do with the spiritual world, because if my mother did not have menstrual cycles, I wouldn't be born. Okay? Yes or no? We are born from that. If that is impure, our very birth is impure and the creation is impure. It's a ridiculous thought even to think like that. It is not because of purity and impurity this has come. It has come for practical reasons. Even today, I meet thousands of women who suffer a lot at that time because they still have to go to work, they still have to deal with everything. There are many of them who are on medication at that time just to keep their psychological balance. They would definitely enjoy rest. They would definitely enjoy a little bit of seclusion from everything that they are doing. But thinking it is pure, impure question is coming in a very rudimentary mind. It is no sense, no fundamental sense about life. The fear is simply because you're not living with life, you're living in your mind. Your fear is always about what's going to happen next. That means your fear is always about that which does not exist. If your fear is about the non-existent, your fear is 100% imaginary. If you're suffering the non-existential, we call that insanity. So, people may be in just socially accepted levels of insanity, but if you're afraid or if you're suffering anything which does not exist, it amounts to insanity, isn't it? People are always suffering, either what happened yesterday or what may happen tomorrow. So your suffering is always about that which does not exist, simply because you're not rooted in reality. You're always rooted in your mind. Mind is… one part of it is memory, another part of it is imagination. Both of them are in one way imagination, because both of them don't exist right now. You're lost in your imagination, that's the basis of your fear. If you were rooted in reality, there would be no fear.
Continue your quest for wisdom and personal growth. Explore more videos on our channel and share your journey with us.